Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lex and I am the owner of PlantLifeLex.com, which is my online houseplant store. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my November favorites, and it is going to include 5 plants that I really loved this entire month. As I'm recording this is the week of Thanksgiving. I really can't believe how fast November came and went, and we're already in the holiday season as we speak. So I do have 5 plants that I want to talk about that I really love this month, and I don't have any products this month because, like I said before, I don't really try that many new products. But if you know anything in particular, like fertilizers that you want me to try, let me know and I'll definitely try them out. So the first plant that I want to talk about is this Hoya right here. I have mentioned this plant a few times this month, and it is because I really do love it. So here's an up close of how the leaves look on this Hoya. The leaves can get really large and they are pretty thick for the most part, and this is actually an import that I got back in March. I got this plant as a gift from Aroid Asia, so I never got to pick it out or anything like that, but I'm really happy that they sent it to me because I would never would have known what this plant was. This is one of those type of Hoyas that have a very particular look, and I feel like specific Hoya people can appreciate this type of Hoya. It's very ugly and it gives like very like ancient vibes. It's a weird plant, I feel like. I do think that I actually talked about this plant before in a previous favorites video, and the reason why I'm putting it in this month's favorites video is because it finally put out a new leaf. This whole time since March, it hasn't put out a leaf, and I had no idea really what was going on with the plant because I'm not familiar with how this plant grows. As you can see, the stem kind of looks like a branch and it grows really weird. And the newest leaf actually grew from right here, which I really wasn't expecting. I didn't know where the leaf was going to grow, to be honest. Just one day I looked in the cabinet and there was a little leaf coming in. And this is actually the newest leaf, and it was so small, and within a few days it's already at this size. So I can expect this plant to get really large, which is super exciting. For the longest time, it really wasn't doing anything at all. Like I said, I've had it since March. It actually didn't show any roots like on the side of the cup for a really long time, probably up until recently, and it didn't put out this leaf up until a few weeks ago. So honestly, I just kind of left it alone and I didn't really know what to do with it. I was just like, well, I'll see what happens, but it took this long. You can see a little bit of the roots now finally, so that means that it's actually doing well. When I had first initially got it, the roots weren't that great, so I did have to cut them. I rooted it in water for a few weeks and then I moved it right to Leca and it did fine. All of my Hoyas that I have, which I don't have that many, I do keep them in Leca and they transfer to Leca or Pon very nicely. So if you're looking to start with Pon or Leca, I highly recommend doing it with a Hoya. They convert to semi-hydroponics really easy in my experience, so I would definitely recommend it. So I'm really pleased with this plant and I'm super excited to see the next leaves and how big this plant gets. I think that I will move it to Pon though because I've really been loving how Pon is doing for all the plants. We'll see in the next few weeks what I decide to do. I'll have to look this plant up to see what the blooms look like because I feel like it's going to be really cool, and hopefully one day it does bloom for me, and if it does, I'll definitely show you guys. Moving right on to the next plant. You guys probably were expecting to see this plant. Of course, I could not stop talking about this plant. I recently got it at the Equigenera pop-up that happened this month in November. It is a hybrid Anthurium. This leaf right here is the newest leaf. When the new leaf comes in, it comes in bright red and then it will eventually fade into this dark green. So I've had this plant for a few weeks now. I had immediately repotted it because the soil that it was in was just not that great. And you can see how the roots are doing now at the bottom. It's starting to grow those secondary roots. I'm just really happy with this purchase overall. You guys know how I feel about Equigenera. Sometimes the plants are good, sometimes the plants are bad. The time that I went, they really weren't that great, but I was actually shocked to find this hybrid in such good shape, so I had to get it. And I'm just obsessed with the color. Like, I can't get over how the new leaf comes in. It's just beautiful. If I can find some pictures of how it was before when it was smaller, I'll definitely insert them in this video so you can see how deep that red was. But it's absolutely gorgeous. It's been living in my Milsbo and it's been doing fine in there. I definitely do think that it loves the humidity, so the Milsbo is a great place for it because it is my most humid cabinet. I feel that Anthurium hybrids do really well in anyone's environment, honestly. Personally, I do feel that Anthurium hybrids are a little bit more resilient than just a pure Anthurium. They're not as finicky as a regular one in my experience. So if you are looking to get an Anthurium, maybe think about a hybrid. There's hundreds of thousands of them out there, and the hybrids do go from a low range to a high range, so you're bound to find something that you like. And I think at this point I'm ready to expand my hybrid collection, because lately I haven't really been buying plants. I've been appreciating all of my plants for what they are. Anything that is on my wish list now though is actually like an Anthurium or a philodendron hybrid. I really love the idea of the hybrid plants. It feels like a 2-in-1. It's awesome, and I just love how different the hybrids look. So overall, I'm so happy with this one. I'm so happy that I went to the pop-up. The next plant on my list is actually this Epiphytum Pincushion albo. So this is what it looks like. It's starting to put out that creamy white and yellow variegation. I do have it on one of my moss poles. If you are interested in these moss poles, I do sell them on my website. I do sell them in white like this, and I sell them in clear, so there's two options. Me and this plant have really gone through it. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. This was an offshoot of the mother plant, which I'll show you right now. This is the mother plant. You can see it's very mature, and it's got like those fenestrated leaves. The mother plant was very, very tall. It was huge, and I was able to separate it into multiple plants and give some away, and then I ended up just keeping that portion that you just saw, and then this was a little tiny offshoot that was probably about this big. Both the mother plant and this one kept rotting, and it was just getting to the point where I just didn't think that the plants had any hope. Every time I would try to reroot it, it would just rot again, and then the mother plant kept losing leaves left and right, and then I learned that Epiphytum Pincushion albos are actually really sensitive plants. Eventually they both were rooting really well. What I've learned for this one specifically was that I had to let it dry out entirely. So the soil is like bone dry all the time, and I only water this plant once a week, and I make sure that I empty that saucer right away, because it will just literally rot so fast. Now the mother plant is also, I guess, a part of my favorite as well, because they are the same plant. I had to chop every single root off of it that it was in soil, reroot it in water, and now it's living in pond, and it's doing so much better. It might not have looked like it was doing better, but it's putting out new leaves finally, and before it wasn't putting out any new leaves. It was just dying back. Just like every week it was like losing a leaf, or it was like rotting again. Now it's finally putting out like 2 more leaves, so I'm super excited that it's like on track again. So this leaf and this one right here, these are the newest leaves, and if you can tell, this one is getting bigger now compared to these little guys down here. So I'm so excited for this one to get as big as the mother plant, and it has some little tiny like fenestrations, which is super cute. So you can see how small the leaves were at some point, and as it climbed the pole, the leaves started getting bigger and bigger, and now it is to the point where this plant does need an extension. It was considered low variegation. Personally, I wouldn't consider it low. Every single leaf does have variegation on it. It might not be a lot, but I don't think it's considered low, almost reverting. I think it's getting better, but I love this plant. It's gorgeous. I can't wait to grow this one big. The next plant I have is also another plant that's on a moss pole. This is my Pothos Mandula. I'm trying to get this plant to train on the moss pole so that it can get very big leaves. If you know anything about these pothos plants, if you let them climb, they will produce really large leaves, and the Mandula is absolutely gorgeous when it's at a mature leaf shape. It's just beautiful. This was actually like a 4-leaf cutting. It was like down to like here. I think it was this leaf, and then all of these leaves came after. I only have the pole filled to about right here because this is where the last aerial node is. Eventually I'm gonna fill up the rest of it, but yeah, I'm just really trying to get the Mandula to climb. The Mandula has beautiful variegated leaves. I know that a lot of people love the Mandula, and we've had the Mandula on our site before and they went like that, so I'm gonna be trying to get some more of these on the site, so don't worry about that. And I highly recommend it if you see it one day to get it, because this plant becomes beautiful once it's mature. So yeah, I'm really excited about this plant, and I can't wait to share updates on how big it gets. The last plant that I have is is too big for me to put it up here, so I'll insert some clips of it. But it is my big Monstera Deliciosa. This plant is my everything. I don't show it that often, and a lot of people don't know that I have this big of a plant in my apartment, but I do. It's just too big that I can't get pictures of it usually. I do a couple reels on it here and there on Instagram, but I don't really talk about it that much. This plant was actually found in a Home Depot, and it was way bigger than what you're seeing here. I did cut it back and I did give some pieces of it away, but it is a very mature plant and it was huge. So for a long time I struggled with it. It wasn't growing because I didn't have the proper light. My living room is north facing, so I get zero light in there. It's literally dark as hell. It's a dungeon, and I've used different grow lights for it and nothing was really strong enough for it. In the end, I did end up going with the Soltech aspect light, which is the light that's hanging down from the ceiling. I have the small one, and I'm not even going to lie to you that this light has put in work for this plant. This plant wasn't producing any mature leaves, and the moment I started using that light, it started producing new leaves that were like big and mature, and you can even see the newest leaves that are growing. Even though I am affiliated with Soltech Solutions, I do want to advise that I'm only giving my honest opinion, and I wouldn't talk about a product that I don't like. This plant has grown so much due to this light that I can't even explain it to you guys. Lately, my Monstera has just been giving me some beautiful leaves, and I'm really appreciating it again lately. There was a point where I like kind of stopped watering it, like I just kind of forget about it because it's such a big plant, and it's just like so annoying sometimes to have to pick up those big plants to water them. That plant can drink like probably 4 gallons of water. Like, it's massive. It's in, I think it's in a 16 or 18 inch pot, and it's heavy as hell, but I'm appreciating it again because I feel like I'm so lucky to have that plant, and it was a plant that I wanted for so long. So this month I've been admiring it again, and this entire month I've kind of found my love for it again. And sometimes that happens, that you fall out of love with your plant for a little bit, but I've definitely regained that love for it again, and I'm just so happy that I have this plant. A lot of people ask, how do you care for it because it's so big? How do you get those leaves? Keep in mind that this plant was already at a mature state. It does take a long time, maybe even years almost, to get leaves that big and with that many fenestrations. I do use my own aeroid mix for it. It's very chunky. I water the plant probably every 2 weeks in the winter time and every week in the summertime actually, and it does get a ton of light from the Soltech aspect light that I have hanging above it. This plant survives entirely off of that light. It does not have a window. It does not have any sunlight. It has nothing. It survives off of that light only in my apartment. So I hope you guys enjoyed my November favorites. Let me know in the comments below what are some of your favorite plants or plant products that you've been using this month, and I will see you guys in my next video.